Hey guys, welcome back to New World Carpentry Solutions, and in this video we're going to go through another kitchen install that I also installed some LVP flooring in. This time we actually do the entire downstairs. I can't remember how many square feet it was, but I believe it was like 11, maybe 1,200 square feet of LVP flooring, along with the kitchen install. The baseboard and everything else was also part of this package. One thing I did not unfortunately have time to do was actually film on site, but I did want to be able to show you guys kind of how this process came along and how it came out. I really am happy with this kitchen and the flooring install on this one, because on this one the clients and the interior designer had picked out a random length LVP flooring, and if you guys have ever installed that, I personally hate the plank system myself. Because if you guys watched the previous video, I like to cut my starters as random as possible. And with the random length set, it came with 2-foot and 3-foot sections, along with a full 6-foot plank. Oh no, it was 2 4s and full 6s, I believe it was. And what the issue with that is, let's say you start off with a 1-foot plank, then put a full plank. Or let's say you do a 2-foot starter piece and then you put a full plank, that adds up to a total of 8 feet. So if you do a 4-foot starter and a 6-foot plank, you will eventually end up with them being perfectly in line. You can't stagger or randomize the rows as many patterns across, or if you try to put random planks inside of a row with the starter, it just ends up not working out. So what I decided to do was use all those planks as only starters, cut all the starters to fill in the gaps. Because again, I only had 2s and 4s. I cut 1s, 3s, and 5s. That way, again, I didn't waste any of the excess material, but still was able to get a look that I feel is superior. Instead of having, again, those staggered stair-stepping look throughout your floors, your flooring planks may go upwards like you see here, but then right next to it, it'll drop down to where there's a longer plank right there next to it, and then continue to randomize as it goes throughout the floor. It just gives you a better look across your entire LVP install. And by this point, we've gotten the front room where we initially started at and up through the kitchen all installed. We still do have the side rooms, being the large dining room and front formal family room, as well as the back bedroom and everything else going to the other side of the kitchen. But this kitchen did have a few really cool details. I never actually did a cabinet bench seat. This actually looks really, really cool. You're gonna see the top put on it later on in this video, but I think that overall, this is a really nice feature to put inside of a kitchen. Typically, you would just have like a little breakfast nook where they'll install a table or something like that, but having cabinets or cabinetry inside of your bench seat, that way you have drawers and everything else underneath, is another creative idea, something I haven't thought about. But the finish on it definitely comes out amazing. Also, this cabinet detail had under cabinet and over cabinet lighting, so there's going to be lighting behind the crown molding and also underneath the cabinet. So during the install, I had to be extremely careful to make sure I hit my level lines and make sure that I did not cover up any of the electrician's wires that he already previously stubbed out. So that was a little bit tricky because he kind of just used the tape measure to kind of set his general height. He didn't really level across or anything else, and he had to stud wire out. This one right here though, this is probably one of the trickiest cuts that I had to deal with inside of this install. Pretty much I had the floor running straight and it was running straight throughout the rest of the house. But when I got to this doorway is bisecting at like a 45-degree angle, so it's not even a straight, 90-degree corner wall. So trying to come into the room, I need to figure out what kind of notch and the size of the notch to make sure that it clears, but also goes underneath the casing. And I still need to make sure that I'm able to actually snap the plank itself in. This is probably one of the trickier ones. I showed you guys here pretty much how I went about getting my measurements and made all my reference marks on the floor that allowed me to take the measurements to cut the actual piece. But unfortunately, I do not have a video of me actually doing the piece install. But you guys, again, I have it all laid out and pretty much where I took all my measurements from. It was a pretty cool install, probably a tricky cut. I want to say I got it in one shot. It did take me 2 though. The first one I made had pretty much too much reveal underneath the door jamb. And yeah, it seems like a lot just to get this simple little notch out there. But you want to make sure this is accurate in all of your flooring installs. Whenever you're going up underneath a door jamb or casing, I want those to seem flawless. I don't want you to see, plank exposed on the side of the door jamb or any of that. So I make sure that I undercut all my door jambs and make sure those cuts are not tight, because you need to make sure the floor has room for expansion and contraction. But also you want to make sure that it covers, You don't want it to shrink up in the next year or two, and then you be able to see your subfloor around your door casing. It's like one of my biggest pet peeves, and that's also why I like to install baseboard after the flooring is installed. Some general contractors will install the flooring first. Install the baseboard, then flooring over top of it, and then go with quarter round. But in this house, the clients actually decided that they did not want quarter round, so we actually are going to scribe the baseboard anywhere where it's too high on top of the floor and leaves gaps. But again, it gives it a superior look, and historically, older houses didn't really use shoe molding. Shoe molding is more of a modern invention to make, do with flooring like this versus the old school tricks of the trade of how to actually scribe your baseboard and get it tight to the floor without having to use quarter round. I personally don't like the look of it. I typically do like and prefer a larger baseboard, especially when your ceilings are tall enough for it. But again, clients weren't quite going for that on this install, but I'm happy that they did choose to go with the base directly to the floor instead of going with the quarter round install. It just looks a lot cleaner, and you guys will get to see all that again later on inside of this video. And that's my cousin. He's been helping me out for a little bit. First time on camera, as you can see, he's stage shy. Be nice to him down in the comments. And by this point in the project, we are actually coming toward the end. Most of the LVP flooring has already been installed. The only thing that is left, something I didn't mention. If you guys see those spacers I have up against the wall, I did make custom spacers because I saw some, I think it was on Brad over at Fixed built that. He had 3D printed some custom ones, and I couldn't really grab anything like that. But a lot of times when you have drywall that is actually higher than the bottom of it doesn't meet your bottom plate, your spacer shims for these LVP flooring installs like to slip up underneath of it, and whenever you try to beat your flooring to it, it doesn't really work. So I actually made some custom plywood spacers. I'll probably make a separate video on those all together. They're pretty simple though. They just have a 1/4 inch lip down beneath that allows the floor to butt up to it, and also still hooks on top of the flooring planks that allows them to, it's a pretty simple design. It's essentially just like an L-shaped hook that works up against the wall, but again, rests up against the flooring planks if you have unfinished drywall or drywall that doesn't meet all the way to the floor. It actually came out very invaluable on this install because of these planks not being an easy lock. Each one of these, after you lock the long side in, you have to actually pull or beat each plank down into the plank previous. So there's a lot more beating that actually would drive your planks into the wall versus the standard easy lock system. But we were able to get it all done. The last things that we need to do here now is actually tackle the crown molding on the kitchen cabinets. I believe we were waiting on one other thing. It might have been the handles. And then we also had to do the rest of the baseboard. So the next time you guys catch up to me, we should be looking at a semi-finished surface. On a quick side note though, I would love to say thank you to Ron Paulk, the inventor of the Smart Total Station. If it wasn't for his initial designs and everything else I've seen over on YouTube, I would not have set up this essentially total station. This allows me to hang my table saw, router tables, pretty much anything I can need on the job site, and have it here for precise installs just like this. And the last thing I'm going to show you guys is pretty much the finish, B-roll, the last few pictures of everything. I think it came out phenomenal. The backsplash, the bench top seats, the flooring, it all looks really good. If you guys have enjoyed, let me know down in the comments. Leave me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.